Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Reshaping Your Campus Network by Intent-Driven CloudCampus, sponsored by Huawei. Before we begin, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. On the right-hand side of your screen is the Q&A. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can type your question into the Q&A box. Submit your questions to our speakers. All questions will be saved, so if we don't get to answer you today, we may follow up via email. At the bottom of your audience console are multiple application widgets you can use. If you have any technical difficulties, please click on the yellow Help widget. Here you can find answers to common questions. Also, a copy of today's slide deck is available for download in the green Resource List widget. Towards the end of today's presentation, we'll ask for your feedback. A survey will pop up on your screen and will only take 1 minute to complete. Your feedback is extremely helpful. There is also a brief survey supplied by Huawei open on your audience console. Please fill this in at the end of the webinar. Finally, an on-demand version of the webcast will be available about 1 day after the event and can be accessed using the same audience link that was sent to you earlier today. I would now like to turn the event over to Heavy Reading Senior Analyst, OSS BSS Transformation, James Crawshaw. James?
Thanks, Hannah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this light reading webinar, Reshaping Your Network with Intent-Driven CloudCampus, sponsored by Huawei. As Hannah said, my name's James Crawshaw, and I'm an analyst with Heavy Reading. I'll be your moderator today, and it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ajay Gupta, Global Director of Product Marketing of the Network product line with Huawei Technologies. Before I hand over to AJ, just wanted to flag that, as Hannah said, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation today. So please submit your questions as we go along via that purple Q&A button at the right or at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I'm going to hand over to AJ to begin his presentation. AJ?
Thank you, James. Thanks for such a good introduction. What I would like to do in the next 30-40 minutes is to introduce the Huawei's Intent-Driven CloudCampus. Before I do that, let me kind of set the context here. So you've seen some of these slides before, but just kind of a little bit, make a couple of points here. We know the networking industry is being disrupted. It is evolving from a rigid, static, sort of manually configured architecture to where the connectivity is becoming more dynamic. Application services are on demand. The processes are being automated, actually. So 3 major problems that we find in the campus network based on what our customers have told us. The first one on the left-hand side, you can see more and more things are getting connected. As networks grow to join billions, and I would say hundreds of billions of devices, the centralized brokered system becomes a bottleneck. That means in order to connect all these billions of devices, the system requires huge investments and spending that can kind of handle these large amounts of information and devices. The second thing, the problem that we've been facing, and as we have seen with our customers, is this new emerging digital workspace. Enterprises are digitizing. More and more processes are becoming digital. And enterprise networks have to support this digitization through the greater scale and application awareness. Very important. And the last point goes without saying, OpEx, OpEx, OpEx. The CapEx is being transformed into OpEx, and your CIOs are really being tasked how to reduce OpEx, how to keep the lights on. The roles of CIOs is really becoming more like a chief innovation officer, and in order to innovate, they need to save money based on the existing budgets here. So let's see where we are, where we want to go, and what's happening in the near future. Our ultimate goal, our vision, is to get to the right-hand side, which is autonomous networks. Now the question is, what is an autonomous network? An autonomous network is something that runs with sort of minimal or no human intervention, which means it's able to configure, monitor, and maintain itself independently. If you look at some of the attributes of the autonomous network, it could be like unlimited compute resources, unlimited storage, obviously dynamic connections, on agile, on-demand bandwidth, etc., etc. Some people may even call an autonomous network as an information-centric, basically moving away from the host-based approach, but that's a discussion for a different time. For the last few years, we have been emphasizing a lot on the SDN approach. SDN was introduced a few years ago as a way to logically separate network hardware and software. And basically, the idea was to provide network some sort of a programmability. But the problem, SDN has been great, but there are some challenges with the SDN too. And the major challenges to the SDN really comes from scalability, performance, some of the security, interoperability could be an issue, and sometimes even reliability. So where we are in the near future is what we launched at the MWC in February, Huawei's IDN, Intent-Driven Networking. So IDN is a Huawei's version of the intent networking. As I always say, it's like in self-driving car. You tell the car to take me home. Car knows all the way how to do the routing, how to translate those commands into GPS coordinates based on the traffic and dynamically adjust the route, etc., etc. Now, the question you're going to ask is, okay, what's the relation between the SDN and the IDN? So think of IDN as kind of an application, a sort of a layer on top of SDN network. IDN would let network admins define what they want the network to do, the intent, and after that, the system would configure the network to fulfill that intent. Once the desired state is set, the system would monitor the network for any changes, for example, that might disrupt that state. And if it finds any changes, it can actually take action to correct that expressed intent. So the whole idea really is for the network managers to really be able to define those high-level business policies that they want to be enforced in the network. Then the IDN would actually verify that policy, validate the policy, make sure that the policy is the right one, from a configuration point of view, and then it will send it to the system, the automation system to be executed. So automated implementation happens after the translation and validation, and after that, the IDN software actually manipulates network resources to create the desired states and enforce the policies. So the main idea behind IDN, as you can see on the slide, network become more user-centric. It's more predictive. It's becoming more and more automated, actually. So coming back to the car analogy, think of the IDN as a self-driving car. You still need a driver behind the wheels. And think of the autonomous networks as an autonomous car. The vision behind the idea behind the autonomous car is you don't need a driver. So that's how you can kind of compare the IDN with the autonomous networks. So let's go to the next slide here. As I said, we did launch our IDN at MWC, and last March at the Western European Partner Summit, we launched our IDN-based CloudCampus. And you can see some of the articles, some of the media, PR coverage that happened. Actually, we were covered by ZS. If you're familiar with ZS from the ZK research in the network world, you can see lots of Dutch media. There is a Spanish media articles, English, as well as German magazines that completely covered the Huawei's launch of the IDN Cloud Campus. Okay, let's talk really about the IDN for Cloud Campus. The whole idea, so Cloud Campus has been there for some time now. Cloud Campus is the umbrella term for the Huawei's campus networks. Within the Cloud Campus, we have the Cloud Managed Campus and we have Agile Campus, and we have covered them thoroughly in the last couple of webinars. So what does IDN for Cloud Campus really brings to the table? So what we are really doing now is really introducing this, leveraging this big data analytics, this AI technologies, machine learning algorithms in the Cloud Campus, really to build so-called the future-proof networks that can automatically provision services, predictively detect faults, and sort of continuously working together to ensure an optimal user experience. We really want to bring the best user experience for each user. We are monitoring each applications, and while at the same time we are sort of mitigating so-called this ubiquitous security threats. And at the end of the day, what we want to do is really to help enterprises accelerate this digital transformation. As I said in the last slide, networks really transforms themselves from being device-centric to the user-centric. You can see on this slide on the left-hand side, there are 3 layers mentioned. On the top, there is a business logic layer coming from applications like ESL, AAA, MDM, etc. In the middle is where the intent is being translated into policies and the automation happens. And then these policies are being executed on the network overlay and underlay at the bottom. And I will talk about some of these overlay underlays and automation in the coming slides here. So let's look at some of the key messages for our IDN-based Cloud Campus. There are 3 major highlights or 3 major marketing messages that we bring for our Cloud Campus: intelligent, simplification, and convergence. When I say intelligence, that is coming from our analytics tool called Campus Insights. Campus Insight was also launched last month at the Western European Partners Summit in Amsterdam. So a few things about the Campus Insights here from a visibility point of view. It is clear that complete network visibility is very crucial to efficiently managing and monitoring all critical applications and networking infrastructures. No questions about it. We know that lack of complete visibility could restrain some of those networking teams from addressing, solving the major performance issues, could impact the productivity and even compromise security as well. So in order to tackle all these issues, we bring together into this analytics tool, Campus Insights. What it does basically, it dynamically captures data within obviously no time, and it can detect both user and application quality. So it transforms the network from being reactive to being more proactive, and so-called operation and maintenance becomes more predictive. It uses so-called what the telemetry technologies to capture the data and then implementing so-called this real-time analysis. It's not only just real-time, but you can also measure the network performance using what we call the playback, kind of going back from a historical data analysis basically to learn and even adapt and detect the problems before they can happen here. Our simplification comes from our automation engine. The name of the automation engine is SD Campus, Software Defined Campus. So what is automation? Automation is nothing but it's just the process of automating the configuration management, testing, deployment, operations of both physical and virtual devices within a network. So some of the tasks that our SD Campus and the automation engine does is, for example, discovering the topologies, managing so-called the bandwidth, for example, and finding the best routes to implement the best routing path, doing the root cause analysis, scaling the performance during the bottlenecks, and then obviously implementing security and compliance as well. So by providing this automatic network services, our SD Campus can implement this plug and play that can improve your existing network's resource utilization and really can accelerate the service provisioning, which is really the key, from weeks to days and even to hours sometime. And within Huawei, we think this OpEx using the SD Campus simplification can be as high as up to 80% actually. The last message is the convergence. I think we talked about it a lot in the for the convergence thing in the last couple of webinars. When I say convergence, we are bringing all wireless network, your Wi-Fi networks, your IoT networks all converged together into one network. There's no need to manage multiple networks. The IoT data can be backhauled on the same Wi-Fi networks that's used for data as well. So let's kind of talk about the automation in a little bit, and then I will come to the campus insights on the analytics part. As I said, the automation brings together the provisioning, configuration, etc., in a very simple, orchestrated manner. There are 3 levels of automation that Huawei's SD Campus brings to the table. The first one is what we call automation in the, as you can see on the bottom of the slide, the deployment automation. What it means is basically using the graphical tools and design tools. You can scan the barcode. You can actually configure without actually doing any configuration, zero-touch configuration. And once you physically install it, it connects to the network based on the MAC address and the configuration that happens from the cloud. So pretty much plug and play when it comes to deployment. That's the step number 1 from an automation point of view. The second automation we bring from a virtual network services point of view. So, in the past, if you have multiple physical networks and one of the physical network has more resources, the second physical network in the campus couldn't really leverage those unused resources on the other physical network. So the concept of this virtualization is obviously creeping from the data center into the campus as well. So using the VXLAN, what we can do is to kind of abstract the whole physical networks into a single virtual network and kind of do this sort of resource load balancing. A single physical network now can be virtualized into so-called multiple tenant networks. So helps in resource utilization, helps in accelerating network services. And the key point is your existing devices don't have to understand the VXLAN. It's only the edge nodes that need to understand and take care of the VXLAN. The underlying network, no need to change anything, no need to upgrade anything. That's the second level of automation. Our third level of automation, as you can see, is policy automation. When I say policy automation, it's the feature-free mobility that's kind of been there for some time now in the Huawei's boxes. the whole idea of the free mobility brings that consistent policy, no matter what that specific user is coming from, which device it's using, where it's logging. The user is guaranteed a consistent user experience in terms of its bandwidth, in terms of its policies, the group policies, the privileges, the security. Everything remains the same over the whole network, and that's where the policy automation comes from. So 3 levels of automation using our SD campus: policy automation, virtual network services provisioning, and obviously the deployment automation. So let's move on to the campus. Actually, let me quickly, this is what I was talking about, the deployment side of the house here. Using the automated tools, you can plan, you can design, you can provision, and once the device is being provisioned, you can actually accept and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do based on the specs and the requirements. So pretty much automated the whole scenario using the SD campus. Let's talk of our campus insights, predictive O&M with campus insights here. So there are 3 things that campus insights, our analytic engine, brings to the table here. Obviously, the number 1 is, as I said, the user experience based on the visualization. Everything is visualized. It uses the telemetry technologies to dynamically capture this data, and it can analyze the network performance for each user and each application in real time. The second one is, as I said, the network playback. Full experience journey for the users by capturing the data and then playing back. And you can use this data to measure the key performance indicators of the networks and users and applications. And the last one that Campus Insights does is this automatic network fault detection. As I said, it can analyze historic and real-time data using the baseline algorithms. Anytime there is a deviation from the baseline, it can capture that deviation, it can measure those exceptions, and based on the policies, it can actually correct the network. It's like a self-healing network. Think of it like, as I said, in your self-driving car, even before the engine light comes on, the engine light tells to the car, to the self-driving car, that my engine light is going to come on. There's something wrong here, and take me to the repair shop. That's exactly the idea here. The networks are becoming more and more predictive as opposed to working on them in a reactive manner. So let me quickly show you a quick demo of our Campus Insights, and I hope I can do that. So I'm going to try doing the screen share on my screen for the Campus Insights, and hopefully it comes up. So give me 1 second here. It's happening. Okay, so application window, and then I'm gonna say time up. So there, okay. Yeah, entire screen share. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen share. Can you?
I'm not quite sure, AJ. I've got the audience view up on my screen. Here we go. I can now see your desktop. It's a blue background and then a dark blue window in the middle. So yes, that seems to be working fine.
Beautiful. Thank you, James. So this is a real live demo of our Campus Insights. Actually, it's coming from the wireless network based in Shenzhen in China. And you can see here once you kind of log into the Campus Insights, you're going to see different tabs here. On the very first, on the left-hand side what we call the Issues tab. And you don't have to do anything. It's just right in front of your eyes. You can see it gives you in a nutshell what the connection difficulties are, what the remote association problems are, unexpected disconnection, and what are the non-5G means other than 5G connections are. Right now, I believe it's kind of a late night in China, so not much data might be there, but let me kind of show whatever is available right now. So the connection, second thing is the roaming, the weak signal problems, and the third thing is the roaming issues. You can see here. There may be a little bit of a delay and lag being displayed on your screen, but you can kind of see the three tabs that I just clicked. So the whole idea here is by looking at the Issues tab, you can get in just one screen what the different problems are, where the problems are coming. Let's click on the connectivity here. So once I click on the connectivity, you can see here you can see the performance of the user and the APs here. You can see what the different failure times are, what the authentication error, DHCP error, how the access, how many users access was okay. Basically, you can play back for every second. You can see how the time is advancing here. On the bottom here, you can see here so let's first go on the APs. It says how many APs failures are there, how many are okay. You see the boxes at the bottom. The size of the box indicates the size. The bigger the problems are, the more the problems are, the bigger the size of the box. So let me click on one of the AP here, which seems to having a problem here. And here you can see here, as soon as I clicked on that AP, different things pop up. You can see how many terminals are connected here. You can see how many terminals are connected, what's the CPU usage, what's the memory usage, etc., what the utilization are. You can see those things from an AP point of view. Let me connect onto the terminal here. So let me connect on the affected SPAs, the terminals. It brings up the different users for me. So here you can see here how many users are failed, how many users are okay. And let me click on one of the users here. So if I click on that user, and here you go, you can get the different KPIs for that user. You can see how much latency, for example, for this particular user, if you look on the top right corner, you can see it took a 7 milliseconds before it's connected. How long was this particular user online? 51 minutes, 50 seconds. How much traffic was used? What is the average RSSI? That's the relative signal strength indicator for this particular guy. What's the negotiated rate from the AP to that terminal? How much was the packet loss? So pretty much the whole enchilada you can see right at your fingertips here. So let me go back to the original frame here. You can go back to the performance tab here. In the performance tab, you can again see various indicators from a AP as well as from a terminal's user's point of view. Also, I should mention you can filter here based on AP SSID. You can change the time based on the range of the duration you want to get your data from. Again, at the very bottom, you can see the users from a performance point of view. You can see the different, the APs and the different users here. It's a little bit slow, but hopefully it shows up here. Okay. Let me go back further. Let me show you the events here. Here is the different events that you can see for different users. You can see for a user point of view, what was the MAC address? What was the username? Here, how many failures, how much total access time, what's the, as I said, the RSSI, the rate, total traffic, etc., etc. The whole point here is Campus Insights enable you to really capture the data for each user, each application, each device, not just in real time, but you can do the playback from a historical point of view and really capture those KPIs and really kind of you can connect to the third-party application to make the network much more predictive. So let me stop the sharing here and let me go back to the presentation. Hopefully you can see my slides still. Okay. A few more things before I move on to some of the new products that we are launching as part of our IDN-based Cloud Campus. I should mention the scalability of our Campus Insights. Each set in our Campus Insights can manage almost 10,000 APs and 100,000 users. And it's only a matter of adding a little bit more memory on your server. If you do the server expansion, you can almost go up to 20,000 APs. So that's pretty good when it comes to managing a large-sized campus networks. Okay, we are back to the slides here. So let me kind of show you some of the new products that we are launching as part of our Campus Insights, as part of our IDN-based Cloud Campus. The two new switches that already been launched and will be shipping sometime in July are our 67 series 6720 HI and 5730 HI. The difference of these switches compared to the previous switches are both of these switches are SD Campus capable, which means these switches can participate in the virtual network provisioning services. They do support VXLAN, and as I said, using the VXLAN, you can improve your resource utilization quite a bit. Convergence, I won't drill a lot on this. We talked about it. And the most important feature I would like to mention is the future-ready evolution of proofing your network. That means these switches have a hybrid stack. So you want to continue to run your existing traditional architecture. You're not ready to move into an IDS network. It's okay. You don't have to change anything right now. You don't have to forklift your boxes. But as and when you're ready to move into a little bit more towards IDNs and the user-centric architecture, all you need to do is the same platform that you have is and would be capable of doing that transformation. So in a sense, there's no need to add any additional CapEx when it comes to some of these agile switches from Huawei. So let me go to the next slide here on the other products here. The next one is what we call the AP for the Wi-Fi and IoT convergence, AP4050DN-E. It's an IoT type of wireless access point that supports your 802.11 AC Wave 2. It's got 2x2 MIMO, 2 spatial streams. It provides a rate, as you can see here, rate of up to 1.67, 1.2, 1.3 gigabits per second, and it's really applicable, to commercial, to retail, warehousing, manufacturing, logistical environment. Some of these boxes are being used in one of the supermarket retail chain, one of the largest, I would say, in Germany. So I believe Huawei is probably the first one to provide these 3 IoT slots for Zigbee, RFID, and Bluetooth, really merging the networks together. If you looked at in the past, security and the data got merged together, voice and data got merged together, and now IoT and the data is getting merged together into a single network. Let's talk about our 6720 SI. These are the SI compared to the HI that I showed you in the previous slide. These are our next generation multi-gigabit, actually 10 gig fixed switches actually. They can provide access for high-speed APs, high-density 10 gig servers. They can also serve as a 40 gigabit core and aggregation switches on the campus networks. One of the salient points of these switches are so-called this 200 meter PoE++. We believe Huawei is the only one that can provide you 200 meter PoE++. Most of the competition, the rest of the industry is still on the 100 meters. So that's something that really brings a very unique value proposition as it comes to deploying some of those boxes based on PoE. Zero configuration ready. These boxes, as I said, they are 802.11ax ready as well. When I say .11ax, we are talking of the 10 gigabits wireless speed compared to the .11ac Wave 2, which is like 1.3, 1.4, depends on how you count it actually. Let me show you some of the things on our 7052DE. This is our AP, which is used for an indoor high density perspective, so much more applicable to, for example, outdoor stadiums, to train stations, platforms, airports, etc., etc. Here, the major thing is the signals move with the user. So we have this so-called smart antenna that moves sort of with the users here. Not only that, it also has a real-time monitoring to kind of some of those adjusting some of those interference coming from the neighboring devices here. So very key when it comes to the high density outdoors. Let's talk about our next one, which is our AP4051TN. This is, so compared to the previous one, let me go to the AP4051TN. So the previous one was targeted towards outdoors. This one is targeted towards high density indoors. So here you can see here, the main thing is it's the access point that supports obviously 11AC Wave 2. It's got 3 radio channels, so that's the major thing here. It's got 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz channels, and obviously on the 2 gigahertz it can support 2x2 MIMO. On the 5 gigahertz it can support 4x4 MIMO. So e-classrooms, shopping malls, supermarkets, really this particular AP is very applicable to that, and it can deliver a performance in the range of almost 3 gigabits per second actually. Okay, I know seems like there was some animation built in, so the slide was moving, but now we are on the right slide, 8050TN actually. The major thing about this, again, outdoor high density, the main thing here is the built-in antenna. That's the number one value proposition when it comes here. We sometimes even call it the spotlight AP. Having the antennas built in can reduce the installation time, can reduce your capital cost. It's got 3 radios, directional antennas, again used for high density outdoor locations. Let me go to the 8082 and 8182DN actually. The major point in these APs is these are dual 5G outdoor APs. It's got a both 2.55 gigahertz link actually. The main thing is it's got a cylindrical structure. Having a cylindrical structure helps you in improving some of those heat dissipation, the reliability. It's got a Bluetooth built in, so you don't really have to go all the way, climb up where the AP is installed and try to take care and maintain it actually. It can be done remotely. and more importantly, it's got a built-in search protection. So the design of this particular AP is really very innovative, and having this zero touch from a maintenance point of view is basically adds to that design there. Let me quickly cover some of our ecosystem from Huawei. You can see we for different verticals, whether you're talking education, commerce, enterprise, government, technology, we have different partner ecosystem. Since 2017 till now in 2018, we have increased the number of partners to almost 30 plus now. We have partnered with major industry vendors out there which excel in their side. For example, in education, Blackboard, which is an application, it can run on the Huawei's Cloud Campus and can provide you a comprehensive solution when it comes to K through 12. And we have a case study, and we probably talked about it actually last time in the last webinar. On the bottom, you can see the openness of the Huawei platform here. From a AAA, from a device point of view, we work with all the major industry players. I mean, that's one of the unique value proposition that Huawei's IDN Cloud Campus brings to the table. We can work very well in a very heterogeneous network, as opposed to some of the vendors that's got a platform lock in there. So comprehensive list of partners, very open based on the open APIs from Huawei. So at the end of the day, you're going to say, okay, what's the benefits that it brings for my CXOs or CIOs or CSOs? From an end customer perspective, the few things I must mention. The number one thing, being responsive to the customer requirements. Being able to fulfill, no other vendor can do it like what Huawei can do. Consistency in product and sales. As I remember, if I talked about the hybrid migration, hybrid platform, hybrid stack, you don't need to forklift. You don't need to, all you need is a software upgrade. There's no need to throw your existing boxes just because you want a new features or you start moving into IDN direction. Open. I cannot overemphasize that based on all the open APIs that means it's very easy for the third-party application platforms to build their application based on the Huawei platform. OpEx savings goes without saying here. As we start moving into cloud, obviously CapEx is being transformed into OpEx. The major goal is to really, how can I save more OpEx? How can I keep the lights on and still be able to innovate and do some new projects? That's the goal, to help our customers save more and more OpEx savings. Partner ecosystem, really, as I told in the previous slides, really huge. We are adding more and more partners, more gold certified, more which are very trained and educated in Huawei's Cloud Campus from an education point of view. And finally, from a partner perspective, so there are lots of benefits that Huawei's Cloud Campus brings from an end user. At the same time, partners are going to say, the wars are going to ask, okay, show me the money. How can I make more money using the Huawei's Cloud Campus? And there are three things I like to mention as part of that thing. The very first one is the new market opportunity. As we start moving into this so-called, into this cloud campus, as we start merging this ICT with this OT, operational technology, it opens new market, new opportunities for our partners. So we bring this converged Wi-Fi solution. I talked about convergence. So you can take these opportunities and show how your end customers can save money at the same time bringing you new business to you. Easier to migrate, actually. So when I say easier to migrate, with the Huawei's open APIs, as customers start looking into this IDN concepts, as they start looking what it can do for them, as they want to start future-proofing their networks, with the open APIs, we make it very easy to move from their existing infrastructure, whatever they might have, if they want to move towards Huawei. Very easy to move, not much training required, and we bring you the whole toolkit for our vendors to help our customers move towards this concepts of IDN-based cloud campus. And the last one is new business models. So we are helping our partners to create new business models. One of the things that you can do with a cloud campus is really you can buy the whole sort of on a turnkey basis. You can buy the whole thing from Huawei, and then you can deploy it as your own cloud. So partners can sell that thing to their customers, to their end customers as their cloud. They can set the margin. They can define what the cost is going to be there. So the whole financial thing could be managed by the partners independent of Huawei. So the point I'm making here is partners are in complete control of selling that solution to their customer. This creates new business opportunities, new business models for our partners as they start moving and helping our customers to move towards the IDN-based cloud campus. So hopefully gives you an idea in terms of what is IDN based cloud campus from Huawei, what are the different unique value proposition when it comes to the cloud campus, some of the new products that we have launched as part of the cloud campus, and we are more than happy at this time to answer any questions. James, Hannah?
Great. Thank you, AJ. That's very, very informative. So yes, it's time for the audience Q&A now. So you can do that via the purple Q&A widget on your website. And whilst you're thinking of something to type, I've got a question of my own, AJ. I seem to remember that last year there was the release of the Cloud Campus Huawei. So what can you just sort of highlight what's the key difference now between this intent-driven Cloud Campus and the product that you released last year?
Great question, actually, James. So let me try to put everything in perspective. First of all, Cloud Campus, as I said earlier during the presentation, is an umbrella term for the campus networking solution from Huawei. Within the Cloud Campus, we have two things, Cloud Managed Campus and the on-premise. Now, the difference between what we have done this year versus the last year is we have brought this and integrated the devices and this concept of intent-driven into our Cloud Campus. That means now you have SD Campus, the full cycle automation into our Cloud Campus. You have Campus Insights that wasn't there last year to bring this analytics and the predictive nature of the IDN into our Cloud Campus. You have what we call SD security, software-defined security. I didn't talk too much during the presentation, but the parts of the software-defined security are now being integrated into our Cloud Campus. Some of the switches are mentioned, 100 gig fully programmable in the campus networks. Some of the access controllers, some of the APs that I showed earlier in the slides are now part of our Cloud Campus. So the main thing to really look at it, it's an evolution from the last year. IDN is now being more and more integrated into our Cloud Campus, and our boxes and switches from an automation point of view, from an analytics point of view, demonstrate that.
Okay, great. We've got a question here from the audience. It's pretty technical. I think it goes back to one of your earlier slides. Let me see if I can just bring that up. It was about the S6720 SI multi-gigabit switch, and I think you talked there about some power over Ethernet capability. Let me see, which slide is this? Slide 14? Is this the right one? Let me just have a look. Yes, so it's about this 200 meters reach or range of power over Ethernet. Yeah, again, apologies for the sort of detailed level of this question, but they're just wondering how would the access point transmit back the traffic? Is it required to have high power transmission the same as the switch? I don't know if that's something you're intimately familiar with.
So the answer is no, but I would suggest let's take that question. We'll be happy to send more details of the access point that support this 200 meter plus. They do not require any external transmission power, but we can get more details on that and be happy to send to that particular the person who's asking that question. So
okay,
the short answer
Great.
is no.
Okay, and we've got a related question here that's just come in on I think it's a different product, the S6720HI. They're asking when will that be released?
So the 6720HI and 5730HI, the two products that I mentioned as part of the SD campus, they have been, so two things here, they have been launched last month, and they would be available in July for shipping, actually. For the particular region that the question is being asked, or the folks, the customers, the folks who might be interested in, I would say the best way is to contact their local salesperson, local sales office, and make sure that it's available in that part of the world, just to ensure that they have the right information when it comes to shipping. But I know it should be available starting July.
Okay, great. And just to answer another question that's come through, yes, as Hannah said at the beginning, the slides are available to download now from the educational resource section of this website. So I can't quite remember what the correct term is, but somewhere on this website there's a link to click and you can download the slides. I'm going to also push out now an audience survey. I think, depending on your browser, this will open up on a separate tab, so it shouldn't interfere with your participation in the webinar. But as and when you get a chance to fill in that survey, it would be great to get your feedback on what you liked or what you didn't like. The questions are coming through thick and fast now. Let's try this one, AJ. Do you have a comprehensive SON management, I guess that's self-optimizing network management for network automation, and if so, what is it called?
No, that's very interesting. So that's a competition. That's a Cisco term, the self-optimization network. We don't call it actually the same thing in Huawei. We have this automated SD campus that we call it from an automation point of view. So I can't comment on the SON, just I'm not too intimately familiar with that, but hopefully when it comes to automation, our SD campus is the solution to go for. And actually, I would also suggest this way. If you go to our website and look under the Intent-Driven Networking webpage, if you look under automation or SD campus, there is a white paper published already and available for download. So I would suggest go ahead and go download that white paper. It's going to give you a little bit more details when it comes to automation. It doesn't compare with the SON, but that's something for the users to do it themselves, actually.
Sure. Okay, great. Another question here is about pricing. When will details of pricing be released for Campus Insights, and when is the commercial release?
So as I said, Campus Insight has been launched last month, along with some of the boxes, some of the switches that I talked about. When it comes to pricing, I would suggest getting in touch with the local salespeople. They are the best when it comes to pricing, and both pricing and the availability. But most of the information from a details point of view is available on the website. But get in touch with the local sales guys.
Okay, great. We've got a question here, AJ. I'll paraphrase. There's somebody who has their company has developed some sort of big data platform internally, and they're wondering how you might go about integrating this new campus solution with their big data platform. I guess you'd need more information on that, but off the top of your head, any sort of thoughts?
So just quick thoughts on that. Actually, that's a good question. So as I said, our Campus Insights uses open APIs, just like our programmable open switches. So if the company already has their platform, if they already have some big data platform, from a theoretical perspective, I can say our Campus Insights should be able to leverage the data on their big data platform. It's more of an integration and testing operation as opposed to really changing something drastically. That's the beauty of the Huawei platform, having these open APIs and SDKs that they can use with the solutions and can use their existing applications that they want to leverage on. So answer is yes, but obviously it needs testing and interoperability between the two things, actually, to be able to make sure that the things are good.
Great. Okay. Well, we've got plenty more questions coming in, but I'm afraid we've run out of time. So I'll just have to thank AJ Gupta, Global Director of Product Marketing of the Network Product Line with Huawei Technologies. And AJ, you can follow up with our audience perhaps via email. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you to the audience for participating.